I hope that you're well, and I hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 8 English lesson on ellipses. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts, grade 8. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of ellipses. All right. So our chapter is ellipses. Our subject is English Language Arts. Grade 8. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on is to decide whether ellipses are used appropriately and formatting titles, and formatting and capitalizing titles, a review. All right. So ellipses, right? An ellipsis, it's that three little dots. It's like the dot, dot, dot. So an ellipsis, which is that three dots, it is a series of three periods with a space before and after each one. All right. And within ellipses, right, there is a series of three periods. And when we say periods, then it means dot, 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 with a space before and a space after each one, right? It can be used to show where words in a quotation have been omitted. Omitted, sorry. And if we look at an example, right, it says Ian applied to college all around the world, but ultimately decided to attend a college that is located in his hometown. And if we were to rewrite that, right, with the quotations, right, and then also where we show where the words have been omitted within the quotation marks, right? And then it can be something like this. It says Ian dot 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 or right decided to attend a college that is located in his hometown. So their words have been omitted. Instead of giving the full details, saying that he had applied to colleges all around the world, right? We can just leave that out and then we can just like shorten it by saying he decided to attend a college that is located in his hometown, yet all the important details are there. So when we are using ellipses, right, you need to make sure that the resulting text is grammatically correct. So the text needs to be grammatically correct and that it maintains the same meaning of the original. It's the same like we did over here where we said Ian applied to colleges all around the world, but ultimately decided to attend a college that is located in his hometown. The only thing that we did was to remove, or let's say not to add certain words, right? However, the whole context of that still the same, right? What is important is that Ian had decided to attend the college that is located in his hometown. That is without even stating things like he had applied to different colleges and he had applied to different colleges all around the world. What's important is that he decided to attend a college that is located in his hometown. Grammatically correct, that sentence is still grammatically the sentence is still correct, and it still maintains the meaning of the original sentence. And then if we look at this example over here where the resulting text needs to be grammatically correct, and it still needs to maintain the same meaning of the original, right? It says Ian attend a college that is located in his hometown. All right. And also, if we look at the text, for example, that is not grammatically correct, right? Like, for example, yeah, which says Ian attend a college that is located in his hometown. It says that this text is not grammatically correct. And if we look at the next one, it says Ian is located in his hometown. Even this sentence, it is basically not the same as the original statement. And remember, we said that the your sentence still needs to be correct. The results of your text still need to be grammatically correct, and it needs to maintain the same meaning of the original sentence. So, which means that your text still needs to be, or still needs to keep the same meaning, or needs to still be the same meaning as the original text, which means that our resulting text needs to still maintain our grammatical orders and still be grammatically correct. All right. So once again, we see that an ellipsis is a series of three periods with a space before as well as a space after each other. And we said ellipses can be used to show where words within a quotation has been omitted. All right. So now if we were to format titles, right, or to capitalize titles, and then it says in a title, right, we need to capitalize the first word, we need to capitalize the last word, and we also need to capitalize every important word in between. And words, remember we said that we need to, when we within a title, we capitalize the first word, we capitalize the last word, and every important word in between, right? But now, words that are not important within a title. So words that is not important in titles are articles, its short prepositions, and its coordinating conjunctions. All right, so we said words like articles are not important, and articles are words like a and or the, right? So unless an article is the first word of a title, then only it can be capitalized. So unless a and or the is the first word of a title, then we can capitalize that word. But if it's within a sentence, in the middle of a sentence, then it is not going to be capitalized because it is not seen as important. Then words that is also not important, right? The only time that it is that may be capitalized is when it is the first word of a title, and that is short prepositions. And short prepositions are words such as at, by, for, in, of, on, to, and up. These are prepositions, and the only time a preposition can be capitalized is when it's the first word of the sentence. So not the sentence, but the title. And then we also have coordinating conjunctions, right? And coordinating conjunctions are words such as and, but, or. And once again, coordinating conjunctions will only be capitalized if it is the first word of a title. If it is any if it is anywhere in the middle of a title, then it will not be capitalized. So words that is not important within a title is articles or are articles, a and the, short prepositions. So we have short prepositions like at, by, for, in, of, on, to, up, and coordinating conjunction, which is and, but, or. And if we were to look at a specific title, right, or if we were to look at one of the titles, and then one of the title is The Wind in the Willows. And if we look at that specific title, can you see that? Look at the first word of the title. It is the, right? And the is an article. But because the is the first word of a title, it is going to be capitalized. Then we have Wind in the Willows, which means that that title specifically tells us that it's something to do with the wind, it's something to do with in the willows. And then we have, if we were to underline or identify our important words within the title, and then we can say that it is wind and it is willows, right? Because something to do with the wind is something to do with willows, which means that that is important. In is not important because it's a preposition. The is not important because it's an article. All right. And if we even look at the second title, right, it says James and the Giant Peach. And the first word James is capitalized, the last word peach is capitalized, and the important word is giant. So James and the giant peach, which means that giant is important. So now we know, if we look at that specific title, right, then we know that either the title of the story or the story is going, not that the title, the story is either going to be something to do with James, and there's going to be one of the characters or something is, or things that is the going to be the focus on, would be the giant peach. All right. So that is basically titles, right? So when we format titles or we capitalize titles, and then we can say that within a title, we need to capitalize the first word, we capitalize the last word, and we capitalize every important word in between. Words that you should not can capitalize because it is not seen as important within a sentence are your articles, short prepositions, and coordinating conjunctions. All right. So now, if we were to format our titles, right? If we were to format titles, right, then the title of a book, a title of a movie, play, TV show, magazine, or newspaper should be either underlined, that is for typing or for writing, or if we, it must be in italics, that is if you are typing only. All right. So we see that within the title of a book, a movie, a play, a TV show, magazine, or even newspaper, it should either be underlined, whether you're typing or writing, or it needs to be in italics if you are typing only. And then we have a title of a poem, right? Titles of poems or songs, articles, short stories, right? It should be in quotation marks. All right. And if we were to look at our example, it says, "You are my sunshine," and that is in quotation marks. That means that it's either a title of a poem, a song, an article, or a short story. All right. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca, and then we are going to capitalize titles as well as formatting titles. And once again, we see that within the title, we capitalize the first word, the last word, and every important word in between. All right. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca. And we are going to decide whether ellipses are used appropriately. So we said that ellipses, right? It is a series of three periods. It's like a dot, 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 with a space either before and a space after each one. And an ellipsis can be used where words in a quotation have been omitted. Like omitted is like kind of saying that where these words have been left out. All right. And then we said with an ellipsis, right? Your grammatical errors or your grammatical mistakes needs to, or the text needs to be grammatically correct, and it needs to maintain the same meaning of the original text. If not, then it means that your sentence is not going to make sense, right? All right. And we say that also when using an ellipsis, make sure that the resulting text is grammatically correct and that it maintains the same meaning as the original. All right. So I think at this moment we have an ellipsis, which is a series of three periods with a space before and after each one. And you can use it to show where words in a quotation mark have been omitted. All right. So look at the first one, right? The first one says Space Invaders, an arcade game imported from Japan in 1979, is now considered one of the most influential video games of all times. So Space Invaders, an arcade game imported from Johannesburg in 1976, 1979, is now considered one of the most influential video games of all time. All right. So if we were to read the text and then maybe use an inappropriate use of ellipses, then we can say Space Invaders considered one of the most influential video games of all times. So which means that this most that sentence is also omitted, right? All right, let's go to our test. All right, so now we're going to decide whether the ellipses are used appropriately within the sentence or within the text, right? It says, read this text. When a tractor trailer hauling 460 crates beehive overturned on a highway in Delaware, it unleashed millions of bees. So it says, when a tractor trailer hauling 460 crates, beehived overturned on a highway in Delaware, it unleashed millions of bees. Firefighters used hoses to calm the bees and disperse them. Is it an appropriate use of an ellipsis? We need to say yes, or if we say no, then we must say why. Is it because the ellipsis is no longer grammatically correct? All right, so then we can then say when a tractor, when a tractor trailer, it unleashed millions of bees. So we can say no, it is not grammatically correct. Look at the next one. It says, read the text. The city of Campbell is a crucial trade center for the surrounding agricultural areas, and the economy is bolstered by nearby automotives and paper manufacturers. We need to say if this is an appropriate use of ellipsis, which is the city of Campbell is a crucial trade center for automotives and paper manufacturers. We need to say if that sentence is grammatically correct. All right, so if we were to choose to read the text and then need to choose whether it is the correct use of whether it's used appropriately, or to say that the ellipsis is no longer the same in its meaning. It says the city of Campbell is crucial trade center for automotives and paper manufacturers. All right, so we can say yes, that it is correct. Ah, it's not correct because the ellipsis is not correct. So it says, while in captivity, Nock, a beluga whale and a member of the Navy Marine Mammal Program, began to mimic the sounds of human speech. We need to say if the ellipsis below is going to be appropriate use within the text. So it says, while in captivity, Nock began to mimic the sound of human speech. All right, so we can then say, I'm not sure if Nock needs to be on the other side. There needs to be gan, but it sounds correct. Ah, so yes, it is correct. All right, it says among the collections of this, the Smithsonian Institution is the bright orange jacket trimmed in gold and studded with turquoise buttons that singer Marian Anderson wore for a performance at the Lincoln Memorial in 1939. We need to say is this an appropriate use of ellipses? And if we look at the text that is omitted by ellipsis, we can say amongst the collections of the Smithsonian Institution is that singer Miriam Anderson wore for her performance of the Lincoln Memorial in 1937, 1939. So we can say, we need to say if this text is correct. Among the collections of the Smithsonian Institution is that singer Miriam Anderson wore for her performance at the Lincoln Memorial. All right, because that sentence is not grammatically correct, or more like that text and the breakdown of that sentence where the ellipsis is used. Remember, we said that the ellipsis can only be used if the sentence is also grammatically correct. If it's not grammatically correct, then it means that we cannot, for example, say that that ellipsis is used in its correct way. All right, so we only did the lesson on to decide whether the ellipses are used appropriately. In our next session, we will format titles as well as format and capitalize titles. All right, so this is the end of our lessons on ellipses. I really hope that you're going to have a good evening further. And thank you very much for joining the class. Goodbye.